this next match review comes to us from Mars, and they have 231 hours in the game of Dead by Daylight, so not quite at that area I would expect most people to have their fundamentals consistently down. That being able to consistently macro pressure gens, being able to have relatively quick chases consistently, that sort of thing. I don't really expect that to around 1K-ish. In terms of your hours, you also noted that you came back in April after a 3-year hiatus, so a lot of things have changed between then and now. So there's probably going to be like a big shock as you discover a lot of things that used to be not broken are now broken. There's been a lot of buffs to the survivor role that you're probably not used to, so yeah, you're gonna find out the hard way. That's for sure. I see cats. In terms of characters, though, you are playing Dracula, which is a very, very good character, a very solid A-tier character. Skill floor is kind of relatively on the high side. I don't think it's as high as people say it is, but you have to figure out how to get the most out of 3 different forms, which could be kind of overwhelming. But very, very excellent, very, very strong character, kind of like a Swiss Army knife kind of character where you have a tool for almost all situations. You're on RPD West, which is the worst side of RPD. East is the more killer-sided one. But you are Dracula, which means you can use your bats to teleport between the floors and pressure the areas a little bit easier, which is nice, because you can just teleport to a window on a separate floor and just, like, skip the whole, like, you know, having to go all the way to the staircase thing that a lot of killers have to do. So it's a little bit nicer for you. Particularly on your add-ons and your perks. All right, so yeah, this add-on is called Lapis Lazuli, and this is whenever you teleport to a window in bat form, the entity blocks it for 8 seconds. So it's like a little mini bamboozle. It's a very, very good add-on on this character. You're also using Medusa's Hair, which causes all survivors within 8 meters of another teleport that you do with the bat form to apply hindered for 8% hindered, to be specific, for 4 seconds. So I see you're kind of going for this like sandwich effect of like, I hit window and bad things happen. Medusa's Hair, I think, might be misspeaking here, but I'm pretty sure this got nerfed at a certain point because it used to be stronger. Let me take a peek at that. Remember my Drac history. Oh yeah, it sure did. Sure did. It used to be 15%. Used to be 50%. I did remember that. Used to be 50%. Used to be crazy good. Used to be wild. But in tandem with this add-on, it's got a pretty good synergy. Pretty good synergy because you still have, because bat form doesn't damage, so you block the window. You still have to teleport. You have to switch forms to be able to damage them, but now they're hindered, so they don't get very far. So yeah, you have good synergy among those. So nothing bad to comment on there. Your build is also really good. Ruin Undying, Thrill, and Blood Favor. It's a very extremely solid, strong build. This is a good build on most characters for that matter. It's just kind of like really strong early game chase, really strong gen defense with Ruin Undying. Thrill makes all this much harder to deal with, especially with somebody like Dracula who can traverse around the map fairly easily, meaning it's easier to defend your totems. So if you are having a bad time, it's not because your add-ons or your build. You picked well here. Let's take a look at the game itself. Oh, interesting. It's still very loud. I'm getting the 4D experience. He's in my room. Dracula's in my room. Okay, I'm not sure why you're looking around for people in wolf form. I know if they do the scent orbs, you can see them, but like, I'd much rather be flying around in bat form until I hear something. That'd be a far better way to find people, in my opinion. You see ruins just sparked off of that, so you know somebody's here. 2 people, actually. I would have maybe gone for Thalita there, because this loop here is annoying, and they can W key it easier on West Wing. But so you're not really going to hit that unless you were playing 2v8 and you had 3 bounces. There was really a chance you would have hit that there. I think one of the strongest things about Dracula and why he's an amazing killer is because if you miss with one of your exactly what I'm saying. So like you miss with your attack, you can just switch to a different form and do a different attack, right? If you miss an attack with like any other character, including Jason who's coming out, there's such a, like, you have the cooldown With Jason, you have to go get your weapon back. But with Dracula, if you miss with one like attack, you just switch to the other form and do the other one. Which means he's almost like not really punished necessarily for missing as much. Yeah, you can 100% shoot over this. Instead, you let her get away though. Yeah, I would just hit her. I know you're trying to go for the Hellfire, but you should just go for it. Also, I had no idea what you said there. I think I heard damn. You don't want to play with me? No, W King's just good. I know it's annoying, but W King's just good. W King's strong and take no thought. Yeah, you did take a very long time to be able to find somebody, which is why you're in that situation. Press the E key. Also, this is worth noting. If you're doing like Rune Undying, you really do need to be like highly mobile, because Rune Undying and just Rune in general doesn't really get value unless you're like pushing people off of the gens to get the slowdown. So if you're in a situation like that where you don't find anybody for a really long time because you didn't use Bat Form to really scan the map early on, then they're just going to stick the gens and not really see any value because they don't get off the gen to have it regress. On DBD, yes, I've been getting starters on DBD again. I kind of always have, but I was noticing it a little bit more today. Nice, good job. Ah-woo! You see that well? Ah-woo! Ow, that's my foot. Okay. You call them an idiot? Or you just call it say Ada? Your mic's kind of low. That'd be really funny. Hi, idiot. I don't think that's what you said. That was really funny if it was. Hi, idiot. I think I just misheard, but that's hilarious. The good thing is that person is now wasting so much time popping totems that, like, I'm not sure about carrying them this far, because if they're healing under that hook, you have to hit them twice to get through. But thankfully they weren't. So the last match review, now I'm like, I'm telling you, I'm like, you probably should be looking for Ada or Dalida here. You should be starting to look for survivors you've already hooked. There's around 3 gens now. You really need to start thinking about who am I going to get out of this game. Yeah, she's doing this on purpose so you'll chase her and spread your hooks, which puts you in a bad situation. She's making you spread pressure. Okay, you're gonna go for a slug, that's fine. Okay, you hear them working on that? Good. Interruption. You're not gonna commit to the chase with Ada though, which you definitely should. Yeah. You made the right decision initially. But then you went back to,
Okay, now you got one over there.
Ow! Well, that's my leg. That hurt. Hi, Doobie. How are you? That hurt. Just because I'm wearing jeans doesn't mean your claws don't go through them. It doesn't work that way. Okay, good Lincoln. Oh, yeah, with all the Jason stuff? Yeah. Jeans are scratching posts. He seems to think so. That's for sure. See ya, Deb. Appreciate you. Thank you for being awesome. Thank you for being you. Yeah, I would go after her here. This is the right play. Because you don't know how much gen progress they have across the map, especially since you have no slowdown anymore. You kind of have to, like, make your own slowdown, which is by getting somebody out again. I mean, I think she still had off-hook endurance. I don't think that was, like, dead hard. Because I didn't see an animation. Not that that means she didn't have dead hard, but... I just think that was off-hook BT. Okay, this is the right play to do mind game with the pallet. Oh, you were impatient though. I see Bleak do that all the time. It's really good. Well, it depends. I don't know which one they're gonna do, but it will be the make it or break it. They will have to do some sort of like recode period. Not extensively, but for a lot of like the new objects for collision, and obviously the weather effects are going to be a different gameplay, so they have to do it for that. So you have somebody dead at 3 gens. How does this... Okay, I'm about to say they just got another gen and they might have another. No, I've already checked this one, so yeah. I'm interested to see how this goes wrong. Because you got somebody dead at 3, which is pretty good. What you should do. You got stuck there. I would have got stuck there too. Yeah, you go for these really ambitious pounces. Why was she in there? But I would like maybe chill those a little bit. Because like while they're cool, and it would be neat if they worked, like you're losing some time going for them. Yeah, you made a prediction there that didn't pan out. Yeah, I agree. If you lost so much distance on her, I'd rather just check my gens here. Now you're like flying around on this side of the map, but there's only one gen that you know isn't being worked on, so I'm wondering what you're doing over here. If you're spending this much time searching for her, like, this is a big waste of time. It's always unfortunate things where the survivor really wants to immerse, they kind of just can. So the fact that you spent this, like, middle part of the game, like, just kind of, like, hoping you'd run in... Yeah. That's unfortunately kind of on you.
I don't even know, but okay.
You really, really wanted the Laura, and you spent a lot of time doing nothing, hoping you'd run into her. But... match time is gen time.
Okay.
This is why it's like I make the statements like you probably should have like, I know it sounds silly, but it's like you shouldn't have like, you should have taken the slug with the Julius Laura and then gone for Ada there, because if you had Ada death hook and you go find Ada dead if you find her, which would be really nice. Which is why that Laura was doing. That's a that's a good play on her part to like try to force aggro onto her when she knew that her other teammates already had hooks. That was smart of her to do, but you fell for it unfortunately. Darkness revealed. Maybe you're a reload killer. It's not Mr. X felt. He's like, get back here. Yeah, you had a lot of downtime in the middle of the game here, where you were searching around, trying to find this person. But you should have just let it go and checked the gens.
Don't even try.
Yeah, already on the doors too. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, just stay here. Especially as Dracula, you can just hellfire and mow them down. You don't even need to watch the doors. You just gotta hit your hellfire here and get the double hit and call it a day. Good thing about it being west is that they don't have a lot of places they can go because they've been hooked here. This is greedy. This is very greedy. You should stay at the hook. You should stay at the hook! Careful, Squidward! Careful, Squidward! Yeah. Yeah, you should have stayed in a hook. Yeah. You should have changed into bat form here, not wolf form. Oh, yeah, you fumbled this at the end. This was a... I want to emphasize this, for this character, this was free. On the character you're playing, this was free for you, and you fumbled it. And I don't mean that in any way because I'm mad at you or anything. Making that clear, it's just advice. But it's like, you fumbled this, and this was free. So as Dracula, if you're unaware, if you just wait for them to unhook and you hellfire, you immediately hit their endurance and then you hit the other person. So it's a lose-lose situation for the survivors. Because either you hit the person that just came off hook and they have no dead heart or anything because you already put them in deep wounds, or you hit the other person because now they're injured. So it's a win-win for you no matter what. And in the end game where there's nothing else to do, that is what you do. You camp that hook, you get the hellfire, and you just put somebody right back on it. This was a throw to try and like go after Ada in the hallway when you're playing probably one of the best hook campers in the game. Second thing, in tandem with this, is even when you mess this up, it technically wasn't a lost cause still. Because if you had turned into bat form instead of wolf form, you could have flew ahead of them, cut them off, and forced them back this direction. And like I was saying earlier, because it's west side, which is typically bad for you on killer, they don't have a lot of places they can run when they go back that direction because they don't have the helipad area at all. And they don't have the like the conference room or anything. Like they don't have that side of the map. So they're very much funneled in that zone, which means you could have also benefited there. But you got greedy and you're like, oh, I can just pounce around them, which is one of your takeaways we're going to talk about. Is you're very overly ambitious with your pounces, and it puts you back a fair bit. But this should have been super easy, and unfortunately, you did fumble it. Yeah. Okay, let's look at their stuff. Okay, let me see. All right, okay, I can see most of it. I can't see like the items. Do we get a clear shot here? There we are. Woo-woo! All right, there we go. Okay, the pixelation's kind of rough. Self-preservation built the last in a event toolbox is very rough. Very, very rough. Balls are nice, but thank you, friend. I really appreciate it. That definitely played a factor in why this match was definitely quicker. The 2 Ranger medkits, the 2 purple medkits, you maybe think, what's that have to do with gens? Well, if you don't have to waste as much time healing, that's more time on gens. So, rippity-doo-dah. We also have 3 deja vus. In fact, we have 3 deja vus. So definitely, there were mistakes you made, but you shouldn't have been as harshly punished as you were for them. They're running overwhelming meta and really strong meta. So while there were mistakes you made, if they were running even like 2 or 3 of these items weren't brought across all 4 players, you probably would have won anyways, but that's modern DBD. Perks and items play the game, not the people. But there are things that you can learn from this, that you can take away from this, hence why they're called the main takeaways. First off, like I said, at the beginning of this match, you spend a lot of downtime searching around for people, but you're not doing it in bat form, which is your most efficient way to do it. You're doing it in your wolf form, which is significantly slower. I definitely would have, especially when you're using something like Ruin Undying, I would have been scanning the whole map, flying around in bat form to cover as much distance and ground as possible. That way I can find somebody early, quickly, knock them off the gen, start getting Ruin Undying value, get a quick chase, start the snowball. But for some reason you transfer it into wolf form and spend a lot of time wandering around in wolf form, and that wasted a lot of time in the early game. And when most survivors, depending on your MMR, I know I'm definitely there, most survivors are running stuff like what you're seeing above my head, where it's like overwhelming meta. You gotta capitalize as early as possible, start that snowball as early as possible, because if you leave somebody like Dalita behind to do whatever, she has, besides 2 perks, a full gen rush loadout. So she's going to slam those gens. But not if you stopped her. So, especially early on when you don't know where everybody is, I definitely would have used your most mobile form, that being your bat form, to try and find somebody as soon as possible. Second, and this was something that was not as game affecting, but it was something that I think would and could use some work. You are kind of a little too ambitious with your wolf pounces. Like, you hit some cool ones here, don't get me wrong, and they were very nice, but there were a lot of times that you were like the one at the Welcome Leon desk, there was like 0 chance you would have hit that. Like, there was no way that you could have hit that, but you went for it anyway. And there was a time or 2 more, I think there may be even more than that, where you went for like these really ambitious wolf pounces, when realistically there was no chance that they would hit. So while that form is really good and probably their best form, I would take whatever idea of it that you have in your head of how good it is and just lower it just a tiny bit, just a smidge, because it seems like you have the impression that it does a little bit more than it actually is capable of, because it's not that good. It's not that crazy. It's really great, but like you can't hit somebody around the entire edge of like the welcome Leon desk unless they you have a little bit more distance. So I would try to chill maybe a little bit on the super ambitious wolf pounces. Every once in a while, go for it. Like, maybe it'll be a cool clip. You know, that's the fun of DBD. But you were going for it semi-frequently, which was putting you behind in your chases. I think the third one, this is a huge one. A huge one. There was no reason this should have been a 3-out. You are the best hook camper in the game. Like, literally, it is a lose-lose for the survivors if you just stand at hook and hold up Hellfire, because you hit them both at the same time. It is extremely strong. Extremely strong. There was absolutely no reason anybody should have got out there. At best, it's a hook trade. At best. And the fact that you left that situation to go maybe hit Ada and you didn't even end up hitting her is why you ended up getting 3-outed here, because you could have at least confirmed a 2K here. But because you didn't capitalize on one of your character's biggest strengths, you let somebody go. And once again, tying back into the previous takeaway, you tried to go for a super ambitious wolf pounce around on a whole other survivor and thought it would work, which, you know, puts you in that situation. So try to take advantage of your strengths, especially in the end game when you have no other gens there that you can just stand at hook and just hit them both and call it a day. But I think, honestly, and I will put this as a fourth takeaway, and it's like, it kind of sucks to say this is a fourth takeaway, because like the game really is this tight in terms of pressure these days, is that like realistically when Laura tried to get your attention and she had no hooks, the reason she was doing that is because she wanted to force you to spread hooks to her and not the other survivors you had already hooked. And you maybe, like, usually the response there is like, wow, that didn't seem like a huge deal because everybody else only had like one hook. Like, if she was death hook, maybe I'd get that. But no, like, that was a really smart play on Laura's part, because now, as you saw, because you spread out hooks, you didn't go for Ada, and then Ada would have been death hook, and if you had found Ada before the end game, you could have got her out of the game, create a 3v1 situation, like, even like quicker than the one you already had. Like, that could have been a huge boon to you. That could have been hugely helpful in winning this game. But because she made that very minor but very smart decision to try and like, hey, come after me, I don't have any hooks, and you took the bait, that allowed Ada literally got out. That made a huge difference. Ada literally got out because of that priority that you put on somebody who you hadn't hooked before versus somebody you did. So I know it sounds sucky, but even as early as 3 gens, you got to start thinking about who you're going to get out of the game and start prioritizing a play style that's like, at the very least, ping-ponging between survivors, if not outright tunneling. You got to start ping-ponging between a couple people, going after people you already have pressure on. Because the fact that you chose a fresh survivor there, even though you had a perfect slug situation right in front of you, that came back to haunt you really bad. So those would be my main 4 that I would look at. Was the improvement.